Good morning, folks. And today we're going to discuss uh, basic refinishing of period firearms. We have a couple of options here. I've got three different finishes that are showing on the different pieces and the natural patina that shows on the pistol. And we'll look at those more in detail shortly. But to begin with, we have four different firearms here. This is a pistol. First quarter, second quarter of the 17th century. It's what's known as a dog lock because of this little piece of movable metal back here called the dog. And what it does, it engages the back of the cock and forms a safety so that you can load the firearm and have it ready to go and it not go off unexpected. The finish on this particular one is the natural patina that's been buffed down. From use, you'll get a certain amount of coloration on the metal bits, and they will maintain that. It helps to prevent it from rusting further, but you will always have a certain amount of corrosion forming. The next firearm I have here is an English caliber of the Armada period, which is about 1580s. And a caliber is defined as a smaller, lighter firearm that's not using a full-size ball. So it's anything under 80 caliber. A full-size musket starts at 80 caliber and goes up to 1.25" ball size. This particular one is 54 caliber, and this one, I took it all the way down to bright finish. It may have come from the factory this way, although possibly not, giving it's a lower end piece. But the polish job that's on it brings it back to a fresh metal. So everything's nice and clean on that. The third piece I have here is one of our two Dutch style pieces. This one is made here in the States, and it has a 75 caliber barrel on it. The finish that's on this is what's known as russeting, and it's an artificial version of the patina because by the time I got it cleaned, we were back to bright metal and I didn't want them all to look the same. So this was chemically russeted, and that's done using nitric acid and a little bit of heat. Directions are on the container if you should want to do that. It's called plum brown barrel finish. You basically warm it up to where the liquid sizzles, you wipe it with the nitric acid, and then you stop that out with a base solution to neutralize it, and then buff off the rust that forms from that, proceeding to coat it thoroughly with oil so it no longer rusts. It stops all rusting at that point. Also, all four stocks were refinished using an oil-based finish, a linseed oil-based finish. Always use boiled linseed oil because raw linseed oil is sticky forever. The final piece is also a slightly different version of a Dutch style musket. And this particular one was made in India. So it's very different looking than when it came in. One of the issues from a reenactment or interpretive standpoint with the Indian pieces is the barrels, all the metalwork comes in highly polished, almost looking as if it's chrome plated, which is completely wrong for the period. And the finish on the stock tends to be a more modern polyurethane, which is also very glossy and makes the wood look plastic almost. So this was stripped down to bare wood and bare metal, and then refinished again with that same boiled linseed based finish. And the metal work was blackened all the way around. It is a darker version of bluing, and instead of using nitric acid, which results in a brown finish, this is selenous acid, which will give you anything from a blue to a black finish, depending on how heavily you put it on. And like the browning, you're also going to clean it down to bare metal, polish it up, wipe it down with the bluing solution, although you don't need heat in that case, and then After it's taken the blue, you want to buff that out, get rid of any surface rust that'll form on it, neutralize it, and then oil it within an inch of its life so that it doesn't continue to rust. So the maintenance on these particular pieces took quite a while. It involved stripping them down entirely, taking all the old finish off, sanding any odd bits that are damaged to clean those up, and sealing the entire wooden area, including under the barrel and inside the lock chamber, to prevent liquids like water or from rain or cleaning getting in there, because they will cause things to rust. And the important thing is, once you've finished up with the maintenance, they need to be maintained on a regular basis, cleaned regularly, oiled, make sure there's no live rust forming on it, and kept in a relatively dry place. We don't have that as an option a lot of the time because of the buildings we're in. The humidity tends to get into them. But with a little bit of preventative care, they'll look nice and continue to function for decades even. I have some at home that are several decades old, and they've been treated with these same types of maintenance, and they're still doing just fine after all this time. So that's a quick primer on how to do maintenance on your historic firearms, and that will let you have a decent looking period style firearm that doesn't look out of place for the time frame.